And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the edition of Comic Book Roundtable. It's not very round today; it's just two people sitting at the table, but that's okay because today we have our long-lost co-host of Comic Book Roundtable, Scott's here with us. How's it going, Scott?
Hey man, I'm doing good. I'm erect. Not well.
You're right.
I'm this part's erect.
Good, good.
10
Glad you're
seconds
excited to be here.
in. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too
Good,
bad.
good.
Been a interesting week of comic. This is my weird week of comics where I don't get much in the way of superheroes. I get a lot of other odd books, so it's always an interesting week for me. But yeah,
Nice.
so we want to talk some comics.
Yeah, for sure, man. There was some pretty good stuff out.
So let's talk Marvel because I don't get very many people on the show that talk Marvel books, and I know you get a few. Are you still reading Captain America?
You know what? After all these years, I dropped Captain America. I dropped it with
Okay.
I think I dropped issue after issue 18. I think I dropped it. I just
So
wasn't my idea of Captain America and like what I like to read with Captain America just really wasn't in that book. There wasn't anything
yeah,
wrong with the comic per se. It's just the way that I like to read him. He kind of comes across differently, like the old, Captain America stuff from like, of course, I always say the 70s and the 80s and stuff. But even like in the Avengers, I love the way that he's in the Avengers and stuff. But this volume was a little bit different. Even the volume before this one was great.
mhm,
I loved it. But this one just seemed to be a little bit different. I loved the first couple of arcs in it, but then it started kind of petering out for me.
right. So when it was in Dimension Z, it was entertaining because of the whole kind of sci-fi bent to it. Was the appeal then.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still getting it. I jumped on with the whole kind of thing. I'm still getting it. I haven't enjoyed this arc a whole lot, mostly because of the fact, to be honest, I'm not a big Shield fan, and a lot of the whole linchpins of this story arc have to do with Shield and Shield kind of being this secret army that the United States has, and these people that are out to get it and whatnot. So I haven't been real keen on that. I'm not a big Nuke fan. I'm not a big Mind Bubble, whatever the heck his name is. He's kind of a goofy character. I mean, I think there's like one more
Kind of
issue of this
reminds.
arc and it's done, and they'll get. What's that?
Well, I was just gonna say, Mind Bubble kind of reminds me of Arcade a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely has that same sort of flavor. I mean, I'm amused by the fact that he's basically a LSD version of a super soldier. I mean, that's an amusing idea, but I don't know. This issue was okay in that because kind of what I kind of liked the him being almost broken and trying to figure out how he's going to deal with the fact he's missing his son. His Sharon's dead and all of that, and they flirt with that just a little bit for a couple pages in this, and then it gets right back into what the storyline has been. So I don't know that I'm super excited about it either. I think I'm going to hang out and see what the next arc looks like, so I'll keep reading it into that. I do like the Jet Black character. I'm hoping they'll use her more. They kind of hinted that there's this potentially bigger picture of like the Red Skull, and some of them are trying to court her to get
Yeah,
her to be part of their group. That kind of interests me to see what that is. But yeah, otherwise,
nice.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only Marvel book. I know you picked up some other Marvel
Oh
books.
no.
Yes, isn't that horrible?
Yeah, yeah. I read a couple. Um, Gee whiz. I'm trying to see what I. Well, okay. This will be a quick one. This Wolverine volume that just started up, it's on number 6.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing I can say about this is that I'm really glad that they're going to kill him soon. Um, I like Wolverine. I mean, I think he's a really great character and stuff when he's written correctly and everything else. But I mean, I'm I'm tired of him though, I guess, and this is one of the most confusing Wolverine books I've ever read. You know, he's lost his powers. He's almost, you know, I mean, he's never been a good guy, I don't think, but I mean, he's more of a bad guy than he is anything else, and it's just a strange book, you know. It's one of these books that, again, it's always like tied in with Sabretooth, and I like Sabretooth as well. I love the villain, but it's like, geez, link the guy to somebody, like find somebody else,
right.
you know,
Give us another story, right?
make something else up in his past, you know, like just get him away from that guy for a while. But there's only I think there's like 3 months left, and then they're killing the character off anyway. So that should be
right. I think Charles Soule's going to write that, and he's been kind of I think a community favorite, fan favorite right now with all the stuff he's writing. People have been digging a lot of his books. So
yeah.
I also heard that book is going to get a holographic 3D foil cover.
I didn't hear that. Really?
Yes, they've got to outdo, you know, DC, because DC is going to be doing more of their 3D covers. So yes, right. It's going to be a holographic foiled, you know, the old 90s whatever. I'll be curious to see what it looks like. So.
Well, I'll be a huckleberry for that. I'll get 2 of them for sure. Nightcrawler number 2. Oh my God. Well, obviously, it's my favorite X-Men, so I love Nightcrawler. But this was actually like a reminiscent book, like from like an X-Men comic from the 70s or something. It was awesome. Like there was new characters from a circus who did all these weird kind of things, you know, like they were all mutants and stuff, and you know, him and his woman were like fighting against them, and there's a little bit of backstory, and it was awesome, man. It was just like one of the most funnest comics that Marvel's putting out right now, so that was really cool.
So Claremont's writing that, right? So
yeah.
Claremont's writing holds up because I was kind of, I mean, I thought about I mean, I think Nightcrawler's fine. I'm not a big fan of Nightcrawler, so that's kind of why I chose to not get it. Plus, I was scared. I was scared that if I got this Claremont book, then I'd start reading it and I'd hate it, and then my mind would start wondering, were all those X-Men books that I loved so much, were they all crap, and I just didn't know, you know, kind of a thing. So I was a bit frightened after the whole Ann Nocenti thing, because I really liked Ann Nocenti back in the day when she was doing Daredevil and all that kind of stuff, and now I can't stand what she's writing. So it's kind of made me afraid to go pick up old writers and see if they're still hold up or whatever. But.
Well, I always dig on the old writers, so when I see them doing something, I pick it up, especially if it's something I remember them working on from like before. And you know, Claremont's, you know, anything he did with the X-Men was like really good. So I mean, some of the art from back then just sucked. It was horrible, but the writing was always good.
Right.
And like his writing was excellent. And I like Todd. I don't know how you pronounce his name, Nuck or Nayuk or whatever, but I mean, like this is kind of like, you know, the kind of stuff that you would see in an old Uncanny X-Men book where, you know, they're just fighting some crazy bunch of, you know, mutants. And in this case, because his backstory is with the circus, you know, there's a whole bunch of guys that's, you know, that he's sparring with in this, and it's got that Claremont feel. Like as I read it, right. I'm going, can tell Chris is writing this, so I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Cool. That's
because
cool.
you know how it is. Sometimes, you know, a writer that you really like can write something, and as you're reading it, you can get like halfway through it, and you're like, "I can't tell that he's writing this." You know, like it's that feel. Ghost Rider. This is number 3. I picked this up. Tim told me not to pick it up, so I went right out and picked it up. And Tim's a purist, right? He's a purist, right. So he's like, you don't buy any of the new Ghost Rider because they fucked over the guy who originally created it. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm the guy who buys the drugs off all the people who are like, don't buy drugs off that guy. And I'm like, I'll buy drugs off everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I don't buy drugs. But now I'm not into manga, so when I originally saw this stuff solicited, I was like, hell no, I touched that with a pole. And they were sitting in my comic book shop, number 1 and 2 beside each other. Just they were going, Scott, Scott. There was a spirit there. Scott, please pick me up. So I was like, whatever. And my guy's like, you can have them for like $2 each. And I'm like, fine. That's how he does it, right? That's how he
Right,
always
get you hooked. Yeah.
he does that to me all the time. Hey man, you want this for $1? Oh. So I got them and I read them through, and they were like, dude, I'm not kidding. These are brilliant.
Are they really?
They are like I've not seen comic book art that is detailed like this, nor with the same kind of coloring, like this much coloring in a comic. And it is. I mean, I want to say that the faces are maybe a little manga-ish, I guess, but not. But they're almost abstract, if you know what I mean. It's almost like the color is almost as much a character in these books as the characters are.
Yeah, cool.
And it totally in the detail, and it totally won me over. I was like, man, I love this, and it's totally a different origin and everything else. Everything is completely brand new. And there's no motorcycle; it's a car. And it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, I'm loving that. All right, yeah, quickly. New Avengers number 18. This is funny because the Justice League of America is in here. This is Marvel's ripping off the Justice League, and you know what? They did a really good job. You know how have you read the Squadron Supreme stuff from Marvel? It's kind of like the Justice League, right?
Right.
Well, this book is coming to an end, not an end. The arc is, and what is happening is they have to the Avengers have to destroy different alternate Earths, and this one Earth here. They don't have a problem. The Illuminati doesn't have a problem blowing up ones that are kind of bad. The bad people live there, but this one they're blowing up has like heroes like them on it. So their conscience is seared a little bit on this one. But anyways, I don't know if you can see this, but there's Dr. Fate is in there. There's a Green Lantern. There's a Superman. I should say Justice Society. Actually, it's more like that, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a Flash. It's really cool. And these comics have been really fun because the last couple, those characters have been kind of showcased in them more than the Avengers. And they were. I would buy a comic with those guys in it. Like, it's awesome. Avengers 29. It says it had a tie-in to the original Sin, but I didn't see much of a tie-in. And this was so reminiscent of Civil War because at the end, Captain America and Iron Man just beat the shit out of each other. Oh, yeah. So, did you ever read any of the Avengers stuff where the Illuminati had to like mind wipe people? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Doctor Strange would be the guy. Like Tony would go, okay, they would wipe people. Well, they did that to Captain America, but he starts to remember, so he gets all the guys on his side, and they go and Thor knocks the door in, and Tony Stark's like, it was open. He's like, I know what you did to me. I know what you did to me. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen there, but it was pretty interesting. And then the other two Marvels was Fantastic Four, which I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Okay.
It's not.
Is that James Robinson writing? Fantastic Four?
Yeah, this is James Robinson, Leonard Kirk, Carl Kessel. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with this book, but one of the things that bothers me, and I don't say this like to be a male chauvinist pig or an idiot or anything like that. It might come across like that, but Sue Storm is drawn not right. Her bum is like I have a table over there, and it's it's almost about as big as that table. Like, you know, every time that they draw Sue, she's always really pretty. You know, she's really just a voluptuous woman. And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with, you know, women who are a little, you know, oh, this is going wrong. Let me just show you a picture, and then you can tell me what you think. But every time I see, you know, a picture of her, it looks like she got into the brownie drawer, man. And I don't know. I guess I'm just used to Sue looking. Maybe it's the red suit. Maybe that's all it is. The blue.
I think those suits look funky too. So
yeah, maybe the blue is more slimming. I don't know, but yeah, there's just that's not the biggest issue with the book, obviously, but you know, I remember when Brian Hitch was doing Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same problem, and he drew, the artist did Sue Storm, and she looked like a crack addict, man. She had like lines under her eyes. Her hair was always in one of those really bad ponytails that you see with the women in Walmart with the sweat pants on.
Yeah.
Every issue, she had the sweatpants ponytail. And then all new X-Men. Yeah, you're gonna get email on this one.
I will.
Yeah, all new X-Men. It was okay. It was just more future X-Men stuff, and you know, really, that's what you can't say anything else about that other than it was just more future X-Men stuff. Okay, that's all the Marvel. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. Gives me a chance to hear about the books, not having to read some of them.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk DC. I know you picked up one DC book, right?
Yes.
We'll talk very briefly about it.
Well, yours says United, and I got the Canadian one.
I didn't get the Canadian one. I was kind of bummed. It says Canadian on the inside, but not on the outside. I will be dropping this. This will not stay on my poll.
You mean after this issue?
Yes.
Really? You just got the first? That's it.
Well, there was a zero issue too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Zero. Yeah, there's actually a zero issue. I love all these characters. I'm wrong. I love all the characters. I'm curious to see what the new character is going to be like. Not that we've really seen much of her. Matter of fact, I don't think she was in this issue at all. But I don't. Jeff Lemire, I don't think does a very good job of writing groups of superheroes. I just don't think he does. It's not his wheelhouse. Nothing against the guy. I love his, the independent work that he does. I even like Green Arrow, where he's working with a single individual. It works fine. These people together just seemed kind of dumb. I mean, their interactions with each other and the interactions between Green Arrow and Animal Man and all that just kind of I don't know.
Yeah. There's some things in this that I really liked. I love Lobo beating the shit out of Hawkman, and I love that Hawkman got his arm cut off.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah! That was kind of cool. Not that I wasn't rooting that hill. His arm will come back, I'm sure. But
maybe he'll get a hook.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he'll get a socket for the hook so that Aquaman can like unite, like swing each other around like Gotcha Man or something.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked was I love Adam Strange, and
same here.
This was kind of cool. I kind of liked seeing him like that. In Animal Man, yeah, that's Animal Man, right? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
With the
blue costume with the
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that blue costume, he had that like way back, didn't he? Back in didn't he used to wear that back in the friggin' 80s or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. Very close to that version. Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe it was orange or something, orange and white. Anyways, I thought that was kind of cool. But did you notice on the cover? if you if you really look at this, the Martian Manhunter looks like he might be 17 years old. Looks like he's going through a little. He looks to me to be a little bit like David Letterman, the way he would have looked at 17, but green.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
You know what else I liked about this? Quickly, this picture. That I love this picture, man. I love this picture. You know,
The Superman ad, yeah.
I mean, I think that John Romita will probably destroy Superman because his artwork is not great anymore. And it's not that I don't like him. I think he's fabulous. He can draw better than me and blah, blah, blah. His art's not the same anymore. But I would own a poster of this, man. This is just...
Yeah, that is a cool dynamic action shot. Superman actually looks decent in it and stuff, yeah.
You know what? The first thing I thought was, wouldn't you love to see Kirby have drawn this?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So what do you think about
Well, it's just fun seeing anybody punching a giant gorilla anyway, right?
Yeah, true enough.
Hard for that not to be a win.
Well, it's a monkey, right? So
yeah,
it's all good. What else did you get, sir?
Speaking of monkeys, Batgirl issue number 31 has one of my favorite, I don't know, B string, C string, D string characters in it. It has Ragdoll in it. And nobody writes Ragdoll like Gail Simone.
Yes, I agree.
And
100%.
And he's just as creepy in this as he was in any of the Secret Six stuff. He doesn't get way into the sexual thing, but he certainly does. You know, he's turned on by everybody beating him up. He wraps himself around people, crushes them, and breaks their bones and suffocates them. He's protecting this pharmaceutical place that, of course, tests on animals and stuff, and he's beating up a bunch of people who are going to destroy vandalize the place. And they tell him that there's monkeys. They torture monkeys. He gets upset. At the end of the book, spoilers. At the end of the book, he actually hunts down the people who hired him and kills the dude because how dare you torture monkeys? He actually likes monkeys, but it's it's really creepy. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's been a good book. Batgirl's actually been an enjoyable book. But this issue, like I said, extra special with having Ragdoll in it, just basically sneaking out of the woodwork, saying weird, gross things, and latching a hold of people and crunching them to bits and stuff.
What issue is that? I'm gonna pick that up.
Issue 31.
Okay. Yeah, I love that character too. I remember you and me, like years ago, just raving about Secret Six.
Oh yeah.
Nothing has come close to being that fun of a friggin' DC series for me for a long time.
Ooh.
And I mean, that is one of the characters in that book that, I mean, if a group was sent out to kill you and they come at your door, you're better off to try to rip your own head off because all those people are horrendous, right?
No, I'd be please God, Deadshot, just shoot me quick. Yeah. That's what I'd be hoping for. I'd be hoping my name was on one of his bullets and it's over with fast. Because yes, that's
kicking Bane in the nuts or something.
That's right.
Kill me. Oh man.
That's right. Because he's one of the scarier. I mean, that was one of the things about that book is he's guaranteed everybody else could be serious stuff going on, and he'd be off talking about fornicating with butterflies and stuff. So yes. Yeah, and like I said, she makes it. They do a perfect job of writing her. She never stopped writing him. Just him being just kind of creepy, whatever. Would love to see him work other of them back in. We'll never see that book back, but it was still kind of cool. The only other DC book I picked up, of course, is I'm on this weekly, the weekly train that is Batman Eternal. I actually enjoyed this issue. Maybe because I've seen other people talk about it and they were a bit confused. I guess I know all the characters that are in it, so it didn't confuse me as far as that goes. They're introducing a lot of moving parts now, though. Like the first 3 issues were all kind of a consistent storyline, all real tight and knit together. And last issue brought in a whole different element and different characters, and this one does the same. The Spectre is in this. Well, actually, Jim Corrigan's in it. The Spectre's not actually in it. I don't know that I'm really keen on this new version of the Spectre. I don't remember. You've read Spectre in the past, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't like a spell casting kind of a person ever, right? He was
No.
basically just the vessel for the rage of God to be riding around in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's well now they
Spirit of vengeance, kind of.
yeah, now they've got him being more of kind of a spellcaster. I mean, they actually have him casting here and stuff, and that to me that's really strange. Who basically, when he's not a cop, he pops out the Spectre and hammers the wrath of God down on people, right? At least that's how I've always seen him as kind of being.
Yeah.
In this, he's more of an occult figure besides just being the Spectre. I mean, Corrigan himself is kind of deals in the mystic stuff and whatnot, which just seems kind of strange to me. That's not how it used to be. I don't hate it. It's just different than what I remember the character ever being in the past and the stuff I've read before. So, but
so who's the Spectre now?
Jim Corrigan,
Is that the black fella?
No, that was Cypress. This is the guy before.
Oh, okay.
Before the black fella.
Okay, right. Because the last time I read Spectre was that guy, that fellow there, and
Yeah,
I really loved him as the Spectre.
Right.
So is Batman Eternal? Is it the weekly book?
Yes.
And how long is it going to go for then?
A year.
Oh my God, really?
That's my understanding. And I've actually seen interviews with one of the main artists on it, and he implied that they were taking a break and then they'd be back to being on it again. Now maybe he misspoke, or maybe he was talking about his own self taking a break, because he's obviously not doing he's not doing every book, because there's no way he can keep up with doing a weekly book himself. He did like the first 3 issues, but
yeah, he's not Jeff Johns.
Yeah. Yeah. The only person that I could think of that could possibly have done a weekly book was Kirby. Because he was doing 70-some pages a month.
Yeah, Kirby was the guy who's like, "Are you gonna finish that?" When like fat kids finish other people's meal, Kirby finishes other people's artwork. You gonna finish that?
Yeah. So I mean, he was in his prime at DC. He was doing 71 to 75 pages a month. So he could have done a weekly book. I don't know of anybody else that could do that, but not at that kind of level anyway.
No, it's interesting to note, coming from me, because I'm not, really getting much of anything DC. I do plan on getting the Batman Eternal after it's done. I kind of want to read it, but I think I'm going to read it in. Maybe they'll put a couple of big volumes or something like that. Because, I was going to read the Court of Owls stuff, and it's going to sound really weird, but I could not get into that. I got in a couple of issues, 2 or 3 issues, and I guess maybe it's because I found out what the ending was before the ending, and I guess that's kind of maybe what burned me out on that. But I tried.
Yeah.
But the Zach, sorry, I'm kind of taking over on you.
No.
I just want to ask you about has the Zack Snyder Batman, has that started the or is that's the Eternal stuff, right? No. Am I wrong?
Scott Snyder's been writing Batman since the relaunch of the 52. He's been on the Batman book, and the year 0 thing that's been dragging on for 11 months or whatever in the main Batman book.
Yeah. What did I said? Zack Snyder, didn't I?
Yeah. And Zack Snyder's the filmmaker. Yeah.
Yeah, filmmaker. Yeah. Is he doing that? Is that the comic that had? I saw a picture of Batman sitting down and he had like a bow and arrow. Is that what that's from?
The year 0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is it good?
There are parts of it that I've really enjoyed. There's parts of it that I wonder why they have it there, because it's not done yet. I think it's one of those kind of things where I don't want to totally pass judgment on it. There are parts of it I've really, really enjoyed, and parts of it that you kind of go, where does this fit in the whole thing? I'm hoping by the time it all ends, it kind of all gets tied together in some sense. That I'll then look at the whole thing and go, wow, that was great. But it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. I haven't hated any of it, but I know lots of people who don't like it. I've had plenty of people on on the roundtable who will tell you that they think it's horrible. They can't wait for it to get over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we're getting back to what was originally showed in the very first, like 9-10 months ago, in the very first issue. We're finally getting to that. They had to kind of change their plot, and DC editorial kind of forced them into kind of retelling Batman's origin in some sense again, which they never planned on doing. So that got a little dicey in there because a lot of us go, why the hell are they telling us this yet again?
Yeah.
DC, for the new title, DC wanted them to go back over that again. So they were kind of, my understanding from listening to the Kevin Smith show, his podcast when they were on, that they were basically given a choice. They could tell the story or they'd take them off the book while they had somebody else tell a story and then put them back on the book. And of course they didn't want the book taken away from them, so they went, fine,
Yeah.
we'll do it, But
Well,
so.
that's what they did with Spider-Man 2, man. With the first issue, it was like, really? I mean, the 1.1, the learning to crawl, that was like pulling teeth, man. And I love Spider-Man, but there's been some issues that I've had with, especially that 1.1, that learning to crawl book. That was wrong. But yeah, like whenever they tell the origin of something over again, I don't like to say, well, we know everything, so why do we have to have it again? Sometimes they'll throw a little bit of a curve in there, so there's something extra that as you're reading, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm glad that they put that in there. But I haven't read too much in the last few years where they've done that, other than, I knew I was going to forget it. There was something, and it was a Spider-Man thing. They put something in, and I think it had to do with, I don't know if it was his Uncle Ben or the parents or something, and it was really cool. Like, it actually added to Peter's, teenage angst of why maybe I could see him really being as screwed up as he is. Because I don't think that people really think that Peter Parker is screwed up. I think that they think he's like, just a meeker version of Steve Rogers. He's like a Boy Scout that just has really bad luck. I do not see Peter Parker like that. I see him as an extremely screwed up human being. And I wish they would write that a little more, because I think they could do really cool stuff with him. But anyways, enough of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm that way with, for me, origin stories to some degree, depending on the character, make no sense. I mean, iconic characters, like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Why do they have to keep telling us those over again? You might sneak something a little bit different in, but short of just being born, who doesn't have some sense of where they come from? I mean, even if you know nothing about comic books, everybody knows that Batman's family was executed in an alley, and it's all about vengeance or whatever, and that Superman, was, as a baby, his planet was dying, so his parents threw in a rocket, and he comes down to whatever. And Spider-Man was, bitten by a radioactive spider, and I don't know. It's like, I understand characters that no one knows, maybe telling the origin again, but not.
Or I mean, even like somebody like Wolverine, you can, they've done so much stuff with his origin, like, oh my God, I had no idea. Wolverine invented pancakes and Post-it notes. Holy shit! But I mean, for the most part, like you said, I mean, all the iconic characters, I mean, there are a handful of seriously iconic characters that I really think that people have no idea what their origin is. Like, if you say to somebody, what's the origin of Loki or Thor, you'll get that.
He's a god.
Yeah. But like, really, people don't know. I'm not sure. Or like, even like the Flash. A lot of people don't know that he was, criminals or a science, cop. Or whatever. Yeah, and all the stuff that happened with him. Electricity and chemicals. A lot of people don't know that, but
they will soon. That TV show that's coming out, everyone will know.
I saw the pictures. the pictures of the guy actually didn't look that bad, man. Way better than the 80s. Remember that 80s?
Oh yeah. Oh no, the trailer looks pretty cool. I've seen the long version, the 5-minute trailer. It looks, I'm not a Flash fan. I mean, Flash is one of those characters. I enjoy him just fine in the Justice League, but I would never actively pick up a Flash comic to read just the Flash. It looked entertaining for what it's going to be, for it being a CW show, and what that channel has that it's going to offer. That it might be fun. So yeah,
that does. It looks interesting. Yeah. Speaking of TV shows, did you hear that? And I don't know who's a fan of this stuff or not. I certainly am, so that's why I'm saying it. But you strike me as maybe somebody who might like this. Twin Peaks is going to be putting out a Blu-ray set. I almost shit my pictures when I heard this, because there are people who are like fans, and then there's people who hate the show. I am like I think I was a closet Twin Peaks fan for a long time, and then all of a sudden I just came out of the closet and said, I love this television show, but I love David Lynch. So right?
Same here.
I can't
the
wait.
Weirder the better.
Yeah. So. Like 90 minutes, isn't it, of extra material?
94 minutes. 94 minutes of stuff that have been cut out that's going to be back in it. Yeah, again. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Oh.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And all of it on Blu-ray and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty See, I don't actually own it. I've watched it, but and of course I watched it while it was coming out. I was old enough to watch it while it was serialized on TV, which was incredible to watch it and have to wait a week for the next show to come out and whatnot. Was really interesting. But yeah, I don't buy lots of box sets, but that one that's already on the list of I want this when it comes out kind of a thing. That's gonna be that'll be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know all the goodies that are in it, but I know, like I said, there's that like 94 minutes of stuff that was cut, and
that's enough right there. And the fact that it's on Blu-ray, because the colors in that TV show are amazing, especially like all the stuff in that lodge. I mean, it's so rich in color, right?
Well, and in the red room with the dwarf that talks backwards and stuff, that'll all be just.
I know. Oh man, I'm so super psyched about that now.
Yeah.
And I have that Definitive Gold box set that they put out, which is really nice, and there's lots of extras in that, but it's Blu-ray, so you gotta have it.
And an extra hour and a half worth of footage, which I don't know what that really is going to be or whatever, but I'm pretty excited about that, because when I first heard about it, I happened to be at work, and I just happened to look down at on my phone, and all I saw was that Twin Peaks was trending, and I'm like, is there going to be a new Twin Peaks? I'm thinking, oh my God, you're going to do some put out something totally new or whatever. I'm like, I'm excited for the box set, but I would have been really excited if it was going to be its own. Have a new series or something, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Especially if David Lynch did it, that would be that'd be.
Well, you couldn't do it without him, I don't think.
No. I just actually watched Blue Velvet again the other day, and I mean, either like Blue Velvet or you don't. It's like David Lynch, either like him or you don't, and that's one of those movies I usually watch it a couple times a year, and I make sure my wife's not in the house. Because it's so messed up, right?
Yeah,
and
it is.
I had taken some Percocets because some of the stuff going on, I was in a lot of pain. I thought, I need to take some of these Percocets. So it kind of knocked me out, and I fell asleep in the part where they are at what the hell, Ben's house, Dean Stockwell. He's got like that little, he's got that little place where you never really know what the hell's going on there.
Right.
So I fell asleep, and when I woke up right when he was singing that Roy Orbison song, and I'm like, I remember just kind of being out of it, watching this, going, I didn't know, and I'm thinking, I didn't know I had any kind of DVDs with like Roy Orbison, and that was really bothering me. And then I was like, oh, I know what this is.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god. Oh
Yes.
yeah, that was messed up. That's,
I think that's like one of the first. Well, no, it's not. I guess Elephant Man's probably the first Lynch movie that I saw. But I still remember the first time I saw Blue Velvet. That was wasn't sure what I thought of it. You know, they're like the guy has a stroke and the dog's chewing on the water. I'm like, oh, I love this movie right there. And
yeah,
it is
yeah,
it is such a train wreck. It's so awful. I mean, the stuff that happens to the woman, it's just so uncomfortable, but so cool that somebody dared to put it on film. I guess is
yeah.
yeah. I heard that when Lynch originally wrote that, he wanted oh, what's the character's name? Is it Frank? Is it Frank?
Yeah, yeah, Dennis Hopper.
That Lynch originally wrote it. He was supposed to be huffing helium,
Oh,
and Dennis Hopper's like, "There's no way I'm going to walk around with a high-pitched voice the entire time. I'll sound stupid." And so they changed it. But originally it was helium. Can you imagine that whole thing with him going around going, "Yeah, sound," you know, with a squeaky voice?
that would have been even freakier, man, because it probably would have been funny. It probably would have been like, oh my god, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, it would have been epic. I'm just like thinking,
baby, what's
can you imagine?
Yeah,
I know. I want my Pabst Blue Ribbon with a squeaky voice.
the Heineken Pabst Blue Ribbon. Oh man.
Would just be awful. Yeah.
Oh well. Okay,
Yeah.
what else did you read? Sorry.
That's it for DC. No, that's cool. Let's talk some indie books. You got Shudder, right?
I did get Shudder. Yes. What did you think?
I like the book. I like the imagery that's in the book as far as, you know, the animal people and whatnot. I'm not clear what's going on though. They really haven't given us a clear picture of what's going on though, have they? Other than somebody's trying to kidnap her for some reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a talk about a book. I watched Ghost Critics review on this, and he had a really good review on it. He said, you know, he really likes the book, but there's just so much going in it that it's hard to kind of really, you know, get settled within it. And I thought the same thing, but you know what this reminds me of? And I think I commented this on his review. I said it's a bit Saga-esque in the way that they almost make you take for granted that you know what's going on, and they just kind of throw you into this predicament. And I absolutely love books like that. It's the exact same about what we were just talking about with Blue Velvet. You get thrown into that movie, and you just have to. You're like, I can't do nothing. I don't know what to do. You know, you watch the movie, and as that unfolds, you're like, oh my God, this is insane. And it's the same kind of thing with this book. Like, there's so much going on, and you don't know why there's animal people. Like, they don't describe anything. They just kind of, you know, you have to suspend your disbelief to the point where it's like you accept everything.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really enjoying the book. I have a fear of, is the book gonna make it? Because if you're not willing to accept that and just go for the ride for whatever it's gonna be, that there might not be. Is there enough here to hook your average reader? I guess is. I mean, we get kind of a protagonist kind of introduced towards the end of the book, right? We get whoever this like skull-faced dragon thing that she's manipulating, that is like her older sister or something. It's kind of implied.
Yeah, yeah.
There's lots of implication. Like I said, it's an exciting book. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the art, though. It's very whimsical and whatnot. I just hope they don't expect there to be a really big audience to read it. I think Saga was much simpler and much easier. Saga, within the first few minutes, you understand there's two people that are giving birth to a kid, and everybody wants them dead for one reason or another. So it's pretty easy on the run kind of a thing, and this is more convoluted than that is. I'm gonna have to go, and I haven't watched Ghost Critics review yet because I just got my books today to read, but I'll go check out what he had to say too. Like I said, I'm not being down on the book. I love it, and I think everybody should give it a try. I think
that it's more apt to get readers like you and I and some of the people in the community. Like new readers of comics and stuff, I don't think would touch these with a 10-foot pole, just because it's so, unless maybe they're a little more battle weary with independent books. But yeah, I think this would drive most people out the window. Yeah, I'll show you my favorite page. It's the very first page. That that cat that people have up on the wall, the clock.
Yep,
I
clock
don't.
making cookies.
Yeah, this thing. I have maybe, I don't know, 5 things that I have a horrible fear of. The movie The Shining. Everybody knows that. I've well documented that on YouTube. That cat clock. That's another one.
It's eerie, isn't it?
I have a fear of those clocks beyond insanity. And when I opened up that page, that son of a bitch was making cookies. And I thought, if this thing's going to be in this book all the way through, I don't know if I could do it. It's the eyes, man. It's the eyes.
Yeah. Right.
I had a friend that had one of those clocks. It didn't matter what I did, man. That thing was always watching me in the kitchen.
Right. But I mean, that next page, that splash page, of those cats riding the flying car that looks like an antique car and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. I mean, like I said, it's got a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it's one of those things I think that a new reader would enjoy. A new comic book reader might enjoy once it's like for that first trade or whatever. Because it leaves you so, I don't know. I'm just afraid for it. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm afraid for it because of how out there it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of adventure that's going to be. Let's see what other independent books I get. Stray Bullets. I get Stray Bullets, issue 3
Nice.
of The Killer. I've never actually read the first Stray Bullets books. I know they won. It was during the era when I wasn't collecting books. I know it won a bunch of Eisners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All black and white. If you like reading about people and their train wrecked lives, they're just totally screwed up, and really horrible things happen to them, and there's drugs and misery and all that kind of stuff. This is a book for you. You'll enjoy it like nobody's business. This guy right here, his last name is Finger, and he actually breaks people's fingers for a living. That's what he does. That's his occupation. He has sent a 16-year-old girl. He has sent a 16-year-old girl into his house while he takes his wife out to dinner. She's supposed to be babysitting, but really what she's supposed to be doing is she's supposed to be looking for the secret money that's stashed in the house, because the guy's like a criminal, and he only shows up at his house every so often. He's gone for months on end. He acts like he's a drunk. And he's sending the 16-year-old girl in to steal their nest egg so he can use it on some business deal or whatnot. That's the reason that she's there. And he calls up every half hour and threatens to break a finger if she doesn't find this stash of money. Man. Lo and behold, she's supposed to be babysitting 3 kids. Actually, since the last time the guy was there, his wife has had other children. There's 2 more twins in the place. It's just it's totally messed up. It's, if David Lapham gets to write his own thing, that's what he writes, is kind of really messed up things. So it's one of those kind of things. I enjoy it. Maybe I should be embarrassed to say I enjoy it because it's so bad, or I read it because my life is really nice because these people's lives are so bad. I don't know, but something about it, Yeah,
David Lapham is kind of like the friggin' Quentin Tarantino of comics. He always seems to write about people, and they're just, they seem one way, and then when you get to reading about them, they're just horrendous people.
Yeah, they're so damaged. It's just like, wow. Yeah.
Are you reading Astro City at all?
I was. I've moved to trade with it, so that's like the first issue I have not picked up. Okay. So how was it? Let's talk about it.
Friggin' awesome, man. I love Astro City. I love every incarnation of Astro City has been an absolutely awesome one. This cover is probably the best Astro City cover I've seen so far.
I saw that cover and I was like, oh, I want the single.
Matt, do you remember? You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember the Batman story? It was, I think it was a three-parter maybe, but then they put the whole thing in like an oversized prestige format comic, and there were characters in it who had, I think they were called the Beasts. There's a guy with like a wolf head. There's a
Oh
guy.
yeah, right. What was
Yeah,
that called?
I
Yeah.
I can't remember now, but that's what that cover reminds me of, is that Batman book. But this is great. This is a complete origin story of the fella here, and he grew up poor, got the shit kicked out of him all the time. Nobody liked him, and they were always saying, you know, you're a failure, blah blah blah. And he had this thing about nice clothes. He always was drawn to beautiful clothes, nice clothes, and people that were rich and all that stuff that he never had. And he finally got to the point where he couldn't handle it anymore. There was a rich guy walking in an alley and bumped into him like he wasn't even there. And he turned around and grabbed him and just beat him to death. He just, you know, because, you know, you didn't see me. How could you?
Uh-oh. I don't know if I crashed or Scott crashed. Who froze? I don't know. I don't know if I'm still here. Looks like I'm still here, and it looks like Scott is gone or frozen or whatever. So, I'll talk a little more books here, and I'll look at some comments, and we'll kind of see what we got. Let's see. Dan Angel 7555. How does someone get into comics? Boy, that's a really good question. Number of ways, depending on where you live at. If you have a local comic book shop, or someplace that sells comics, my best suggestion is you go in and you check out what might interest you. Depends on what you're interested in reading. There's all kinds of comics out there. If you have a good comic book shop, they're going to have just about every variety and type of story that you might want to read, whether that be superheroes or that be something outside of the superhero genre. If your interests are mainstream, Thor, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, my suggestion is you just go into your store and either pick up a trade or pick up the single issues that are coming out right now. Just jump in and see what you like. It's kind of a feeling out process of figuring out what it is you're interested in and what you're not interested in. If you're someplace that's really isolated and you don't have a comic book shop, it gets a lot harder. Because then you have to do mail order, and mail order is a lot harder when you don't know what you should be shopping for. But let's see. We'll see here. See if we can get Scott back here. But other books that I picked up. Let's see. I picked up the final issue of The Bounce, issue number 12. I've been picking up this book partially because it interested me, partially because I just want to kind of see what the answer to this whole kind of metaphysical question was. You kind of get it spoon-fed to you in this last issue. Wasn't that great. Kind of disappointed with the whole thing and how it ended up being at the end here. So that was kind of a bummer as far as that goes. Kind of a letdown. It didn't have a lot of steam to it as far as that goes. Book I really did enjoy, Hellboy in Hell issue 6. took quite a while for this issue to come out, but that's okay. It's not. I mean, it's an ongoing series, but it's not a regular ongoing series. In my opinion, $3 you can never go wrong for Mike Mignola art. Of course, he's also the writer. Dave Stewart on colors makes it just a gorgeous, gorgeous book. Mike Mignola's actual writing himself, his own scripting may not be the best, but I still think it's really enjoyable. But it's really about the imagery and the art and the way he uses tones and negative spaces and stuff like that really are as always exceptional. Just does an absolutely great job. And so, like I said, I don't see how you can go wrong with Hellboy. I think next week the trade of Hellboy and Hell comes out. It's the first 5 issues, collected 5 issues. If you're interested, go pick it up. I think it's probably reasonably priced at that. But yeah, always great stuff. Also part of the Hellboy universe, I would say, of course, is Abe Sapien. This is issue 12. Sets up our next storyline in it. My only complaint with this one is it's very prosy. Lots of boxes of writing, and every page is just 3 panels. All the panels are exactly the same. It's not sequential art in the same way as what a lot of comics are. Still really interesting, really good. I really enjoyed it. Here's some panels that don't even have any writing on it. Like I said, it sets up the next story with Abe and this woman that he's going to have to deal with. I think it could be interesting. This kind of soul journey that Abe Sapien's been going on has been interesting. Parts of it have been better than other parts, but still really enjoyable. And the last book that I picked up, FPB, the Federal Bureau of Physics. I'm really enjoying this book. I know some people are talking about dropping it and whatnot. I love the colors. I love the imagery in it. I love the artwork. The story, I think, is really interesting. We find out that our two main agents are in this machine that creates its own reality, and it's based on what the agents think, and they don't realize that. So they're basically creating their own reality, and their own reality, I think, is getting out of control. And while that's happening back home at Adam's place, somebody is hunting him down, doesn't want him to get answers, and is doing some wet work to get rid of people who might be witnesses or that sort of thing. So yeah, I still really enjoy it. I feel like it's really cool. It's got interesting ideas in it and that sort of thing. So but yeah, good book. I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna look at some more comments here. For some reason, it won't let me scroll my comments to actually see what the heck everybody's saying if you said something in the past. So let's see here. Yeah, thank you guys for letting me know. I'm the one that's working. I had to do some looking there to see who it was that crashed or whatnot. So Cami, Reader 1717 says that Stray Bullet is her feel-good comic. It just makes me glad my life isn't anything like the lives of the people in the book. Exactly. That's how it is for me too. I read it and I'm just like, everything that's happening could really be happening. Set like in the 80s. A lot of these are set in like the 80s or mid 80s and whatnot, which is a time period that I grew up and I was the age that some of these characters, these kids' characters are in it and whatnot. And I just look at that and the stuff that's happening to people could be pretty legitimate. And I'm just looking at it and go, oh man, I'm so glad that my life is pretty nice and pretty simple, based on reading these people's books and whatnot. It's just interesting enough of a train wreck that I keep picking it up and stuff. David Raccoonus says here, ordered the first volume of Plague of Frogs hardcover today, but the second was out of stock. Boo! But those are great books. Scott, you're back.
Oh my God, man. Google Plus, if you're watching, fuck you. Okay.
Yep. Bless you.
Yeah. What else did you talk about? What did I miss?
I talked about Hellboy in Hell issue 6.
Okay.
I'm a big Mike Mignola fan. I don't think you can go wrong for $3 picking up a book that's all his artwork and whatnot, because it's the only place you're going to get his artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, his name's over everything that's in the Hellboy universe, but and he gives them the story ideas, but somebody else writes it. I still really enjoy his work. I enjoy his art. His scripting isn't always the greatest, but I cut him the slack because I like the universe, and I like his style. He's got his own unique style and feel, and with Dave Stewart on colors, I think that it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Next week the trade comes out.
Oh, nice. Have you watched The Amazing Screw-On Head?
Watched?
Yeah.
I own the comic. I didn't know there was a.
Oh, Travis.
I gotta go. I go on YouTube, huh?
I'm not kidding you. Out of all the cartoon stuff that I own, I think it's only like 20 minutes long. That is the funniest thing that I own. I laughed so hard I almost peed myself, man.
The comic is amazing. I got the comic as a random act of kindness from Pink Echo 1. He sent me that, and I about lost it. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm gonna find it anywhere. I didn't think, but it is so crazy.
It is the funniest cartoon that I own.
I'm gonna have to hunt it down.
Oh man, it's great. Did you read, or are you reading? Are you reading Starlight?
No, I didn't jump on that. I hear it's pretty good, huh?
Oh, it's all it is basically is a kind of like a Flash Gordon type comic, but it's this guy went to another planet, helped them become liberated from the bad guys, and then he returned to Earth, and now he's old, and that planet is now in trouble again. So a young guy comes and gets him and says, "We need your help again." So he goes back, and it's like it's amazing, and it's an Image book. Let me see who does the. Mark Millar writes it, and Goran Parlov is the artist. And the art in this is so reminiscent of like heavy metal stuff. It's incredible, but it is so good, Travis. I'm not kidding you, man. Like this is just one of those books that I know it's going to end. Like I think it's just a mini series. But this is something that I would like. If this was an ongoing, I probably would buy it like all the time because it's just really fun. There's a palace. The bad guy lives in a palace that is 1 mile wide, and he has a pit. And all he does is everybody who sympathizes with this guy from Earth gets thrown in the pit. So when he beat up some bad guys and people clapped and cheered, the entire village was taken on a ship, and the entire village is thrown out of this.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see here in this panel, you can see all the little bodies being thrown out of the ship. Like, and the chick says, "Well, the pit's almost full, and we've never had it almost full." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these guys are horrible." What about the last book I got? It's Walking Dead. Did you pick it up?
Nope.
You don't. No, you don't read Walking Dead.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't.
Well, I have.
So was that the end of the war, or did the war end last issue?
I guess it kind of ended the last issue.
Okay.
But the way it ends is kind of weird because this Walking Dead took on the comic The Wake.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened. This is now set in the future. My eyes about fell out of my head. I opened up the panel with Rick Grimes on it, and he's old. He's got the beard and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And I actually went back to my box and looked to see if I had missed like an issue or something. I mean, the kid has grown up. He's like a teenager now. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? But I think it's going to save this book because...
Is it going to stay in the future?
I don't know. I don't see how it can possibly stay in the future, but like, how do you go back from that? I don't understand how you go back from that. How can you show this?
Because I don't see how you can in that type of a book, because now Rick, Rick's gonna get to be that old, Carl's gonna grow up, Yeah, interesting.
I mean,
interesting to just jump ahead like that.
Like, there he is. Look, he's like an old man. He's got a hook arm on now.
Yeah.
Let me show you Carl. Look at Carl. Like he's like, a full-blown teenager now.
Yeah, wow.
So I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean,
so do you think they did that to basically what? Rejuvenate some life back into the book?
Well, I don't know that Kirkman would ever say that, it needed something like that. But I think if this is what they did just because they thought it was a good idea, I think that they probably will be saving the book, personally, for a lot of people that were ready to drop it, because I was actually ready to drop it, truthfully. And now I'm really curious what they're going to do with this, because it's really different now. It's almost like picking up a zombie apocalyptic book, and it wasn't Walking Dead. This is something else, but it's characters you recognize, but it's a whole different book. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Huh. I'll be curious to hear more about it with the jump like that. That seems pretty dramatic for them just to shift to gears.
Yeah, for sure. That's all I got, man. That's all the new stuff that I got.
Same here.
I did. My wife bought me two things that I might show. One of my all-time favorite movies. Now I own it. I watch it at least 3 or 4 times a year. Weird Al UHF.
Nice.
I'm a huge Weird Al fan. Not for the music. I'm not a big Weird Al music guy, but I love his TV show that he did for kids. Oh my God, man, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I don't think my kids have ever seen that movie, but they can quote parts of it because I quote parts of it all the time.
Nice.
Like, get a drink from the fire hose, and all those silly things. Yeah.
And you know what? The best thing is, he does a commentary through this whole thing, and Weird Al's commentaries are the most insightful things I've. You think the guy's just kind of a goof, right? You would think. And I listened to. He did all the commentaries on his kids show too that he put out, and there's only like 13 or 14 episodes. Man, I laughed until I tasted blood. I sat down one morning and I watched the entire series with the commentary, and it was one of the funniest things I ever did. And then when I got this, I thought, I wonder if there's commentary, and I put it on. I was like, oh, yes, 2 more hours of listening to Al. So it was awesome, man. He has stories that were just remarkable. And she also picked me up the complete series of Spectacular Spider-Man animated show on Blu-ray. I've never even seen this. Have you seen this?
So what era is that?
It's brand new. It just got done.
So is it like a collection of all the Spider-Man cartoons?
I guess it's the new one that was out. Yeah, from this year, 2014. They did 26 episodes and put it on a. So I don't know. She knows I'm a Spider-Man fan, so she picked it up. But that was kind of cool of her.
Hippie says that Walking Dead is about 6 months after the last issue. A new start, new people, and Nega. Well, let's wait and see.
6 months? That can't be 6 months. How did that
get? Looks awful big for.
Yeah. Hippie, come on! It can't be 6 months. Carl's like a teenager in this, man. It's got to be more. It's got to be more than that. Because Carl's like.
Well, then he says maybe a year later.
I don't know how crazy kids grow where you're from, Tom, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, when they hit that growth spurt, they really do.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it could be. I might be completely wrong, but I don't know. Anyways. Well, what else you want to talk about?
Next week, Saga's back.
Oh, thank goodness. I've missed Saga.
And now we've got a toddler, right? Because we ended the last issue with them showing Hazel as a toddler. So that'll be interesting to see what's next, huh?
I can't wait to hear the stuff that comes out of her mouth, man.
Oh, no kidding.
She's got like the best running commentary in a book. It's fantastic.
Well, it'll be weird to see what happens next, just because of how jacked up stuff got with the final last issue. You know, with the will, you know, and all of that. I'm just curious to see what's next. What's the next story? You know, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
feels like it's been a while. So.
Yeah, I know. It's when you read that book, you kind of get scared sometimes because you've grown so attached to those characters so quickly, and it's like they better not do this and they better not do that. And I remember when Lion Cat got shot into space. I remember you saying this is bullshit. This is complete bullshit. You know, and I was like seriously upset about that. I was really upset with
they killed the cat. I'm done, man. Yeah. I'm done. They killed.
I was mad enough when they killed the Spider Girl. Oh man,
just a while with the stock, but yeah. Hey, I haven't been around to talk to you for a while. Last week was Fatale. Was issue of Fatale. You're still reading that, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So what we got? We got 2 issues left.
Yeah. I'm so sad about that. That's one of those books that when you read it, it's like on the stack of the comics when it comes out for that week. I usually read that one first because it's never lighthearted. It's the most it's the darkest thing in the pile, right? And I know that everything ends badly, people die, it's evil, it's no good can come of it. So I read that first, get it out of the way. And I feel bad for Josephine at this point. It's just like she can't win, man. She cannot win. It doesn't matter what she does, says, anything. She's damned. You know what I mean? Like, I hope they end it in a way that when you put the book down, you're like, they did that right. You know, they did it. I don't care if it's really climactic and stuff like that. I want to be able to lay the book down and go, yeah, they did that the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just suspicious that everybody dies. It's going to be just this big giant death orgy at the very end, and it's just going to be a bunch of bodies laying there. And maybe the guy that's got the crutch, maybe he survives and is just totally Looney Tunes afterwards, and that may be the end of it.
Maybe Cthulhu or something comes out.
One guy left that's still touched by Josephine, even though she's dead, and him having to live with knowing that the woman, the perfect thing, is now dead and doesn't exist anymore. And how do you handle that? I don't know.
Show him in the graveyard, and he'll be like, you know, licking her teeth on her skull or something. I love you no matter what.
They just put out ads for Brubaker and Phillips' next book. called Fade Out, and it's like a Hollywood noir.
Oh, nice. Well,
Yeah,
I'm definitely a fan of noir anything, so I'll probably check that out.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, only 2 issues left. I'm just like, oh, how's this gonna end?
I know,
It's been good.
I know.
It's been good.
Yeah, it has been. It's one of those series that from the very beginning you're like, wow, I don't know what I'm reading. I'm not really sure how to classify this. And now, like 22 issues later, you're like, still not really sure, but I know it was a good book.
Right. Yeah. 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 Trying to think if there are any other books I want to talk to you about that I know we both read. Like I said, I'm mostly excited for Saga next week to get back on that, get that going again and whatnot, and see what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
Did you pick up Nailbiter?
No,
Came out like last week.
no, I had it on my stack in the comic book shop, and my wife gave me a look, and she said, "Are you gonna get that?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." She said, "Well," what did she say? Oh, I picked up the first issue of Revenge. My wife never looks. She never looks at my
Oh
books.
no.
She flipped
Oh
that
no.
open. She flipped that open, and she's like, "What's this shit?" She doesn't swear either, right? And I was like, "Oh yeah, it was a mistake." I said, "Dan, give me that one by mistake." So she saw Nailbiter. She's like, "Oh, is this like that other one?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm not gonna get it. Don't worry." So I didn't get it,
No.
but
No, it's nothing like that. Oh, that Revenge book, that was awful. Oh.
yeah. Actually, after the first issue of that, I was like, "Man, I'm not gonna get any more of this anyways," because I never even enjoyed that.
No, didn't either. No, it was Southern Bastard. Did you get Southern Bastards?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Just trying to get the essential stuff.
I hear you. I hear you.
I like to
Just trying to
try to I'm trying not to limit the comics too much, but I also try to want to have enough money to try to eat some kind of meat through the week.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you.
Oh, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad.
Well, well, I think it's getting harder. How do you keep reading the mainstream books that you're enjoying, and there's so much independent stuff out there being pushed right now. It's like, oh my God, this stuff all starts landing. It's like I'm thankful for these breaks. A lot of the Image seem to be, a lot of the creators seem to have this thing going where they'll do like 5 or 6 issues, then they take a month or 2 break, and then that gives me a chance to go and look at a different book, and decide whether or not I want it on those breaks, because it's getting harder. It's getting harder
Yeah.
to check all those books out, So.
And I don't have a problem dropping something if it's really something that I don't care about. I mean, there's a lot of Avengers stuff that I ended up dropping. I only get a couple, like maybe 3 Avengers now. And when they stopped, a lot of the Marvel stuff too, they stopped and they started again. And a lot of that stuff, when they started again, whatever they were, some of them I didn't even bother picking up. So it gave me some leeway with what I was already getting. So it was okay.
Mm-hmm. So you pick up the new Moon Knight?
Yeah, I absolutely love that comic book.
Yeah.
And I picked it up because of, who told me to pick that up? It was somebody in the community. Oh, I feel bad because I should remember who that was. But it might have been Dr. Monkeybot. It might have been.
Adam, yeah.
Adam's like, he's the guy, if he tells you to buy something, you go out and you buy it. Like,
Yeah.
he's never ever once steered me wrong. And that's amazing coming from a guy that likes Marvel stuff from the 90s. So he's just such a collector at heart, man. He just loves all that stuff from that era too, and it might have been Adam, but I picked up the first issue and I thought, wow, this is really different. And then I thought, the second issue usually for me kind of shows me if it's going to continue in that vein, and the second issue was like 20 times better than the first one. I was like, this is really good. Are you reading it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a Moon Knight fan. I like Moon Knight. I like the character. Warren Ellis writing it had me intrigued too to see him getting back into, getting back into comics to see if he's going to say something interesting or whatever. The only thing I can say about it is it's so damn short, because the way it's written and drawn, it's just like you're done. And it's like, kind of a feeling. But I know I really like it. I love this kind of weird aspect where he goes home and he sits and has this conversation with the skull-headed beard, bird-headed dude, and all that. And I know right now we're just kind of getting to see the different aspects of, of the character. And if I want to get nitpicky, there's a few things the last issue that didn't make 100% sense. But no, I'm digging it. I love the fact he's got all this kind of stuff going on. He's got this limo that drives itself. I love it when he has the mask and the suit sometimes. That's kind of cool in comparison to the whole big cloak and whatnot. I don't know. I like it. I like him having kind of different looks and stuff. So
it's kind of scary too, because I mean, here's a guy who dresses all in white, right? He's dressing in a suit, which is restrictive if you think about it. He's got this big white limo, and it's kind of like his Batmobile, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like he's like the anti-Batman, but he's dressing all in white so they can see him coming.
Right, because he wants them to. I want him to see me coming.
Yeah.
It's like,
it adds that extra little bit of excitement. Are you reading Magneto?
Yes. I missed this last issue. I missed it. I'm still having problems tracking it down because I didn't get it initially when I ordered my comics because I haven't really been excited by the way Magneto's been portrayed lately. I just haven't really dug him that much.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing all this great stuff. People kept telling me you really should be picking this up. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
And I went and got the first 2 issues, and I'm like, damn, I like the way he's being portrayed now in that book. And so I haven't picked up the latest issue, but yeah. I think that comes out next week again too, right away.
Yeah, that third issue that's been really good.
Yeah, So I've been digging that. I've actually been pretty happy. There've been a couple of the newer Marvel books that have come out that I've jumped on. I've been pretty pleased with. So yeah.
Yeah, they got some good stuff going on. I'm a little trepidatious about the whole Amazing Spider-Man thing, but I know that at some point it's going to return to what it's supposed to be. I see a lot of people making videos saying, they hated the way that Superior ended, and they hated the way that the new one started because everything happens so abruptly and so quickly, and nobody had time to really say, well, this is what's going on and everything like that. I personally believe there's a reason behind that. I think that they did that on purpose. I want to do a video at some point. I talked with Cammy, Reader 1717, about a couple weeks ago about doing this, and I'm going to do a video going through all those Superiors because I saw this thread going through those books that just absolutely amazed me. That series, I know there's a lot of people who poo-pooed on that because of what they did, but that to me, I think that series was just fucking epic. I loved that book. I may be one of the only people out there that did, but I saw some really cool stuff that they were doing through that book, so I want to do a video on it at some point. But I hope that the Amazing Spider-Man stuff kind of comes around quickly and goes back to normal numbering.
You think they'll do that? I think a year from now they'll shift it to 725 or whatever it should be, or.
Because they did it once before, right? So, and it only lasted like, I don't know.
But don't you think the comic market has changed since then now? Now number ones are a big deal. They make so much money off of new books that I don't know. I'm beginning to be suspicious as to how many comics are we going to see go past a year or two before they decide they need to put a new number one on it.
But the thing is, before they changed everything around to reboot and everything, what was the 3 books that was going to make the big numbers? We had Detective was coming up, and Action Comics. Yeah. Action Comics was coming up on what, like 900?
Yeah.
And Amazing Spider-Man too, right? On 800. Well, 800 would have been the next big one. So I can't see those guys saying, well, let's not worry about that. They're going to want it at some point, like issue 900, like issue 1,000. Can you imagine? Like, who's going to be coming up on that first? Probably Action Comics, right? There's no way that they're going to say, let's not worry about Action number 1,000.
Oh, they'll sell it as 1,000, but it won't be number 1,000. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever gonna. I mean, because Detective hit. I can't remember what the big number Detective hit, and they didn't renumber it. They left it the same. They left it issue 19 or whatever it is, but the whole story was told around the number. You know, to play without actually renumbering.
Plus, it was a big, thick book, and it was like what, like $10 or something.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be some big double gatefold chromium hologram when you open it. You know, it'll have some. It'll be like $1,000, and you know what? All of us huckleberries will go right out and buy it.
Of course.
We'll have two. One that'll never be taken out of the comic book bag, and the other one that's on the wall.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, it's us, the people who are buying the comics, that keep picking up, you know, rushing to pick up all those number ones and whatnot. So that's why they, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I'm interested, I'll do it. That's what I was going to ask you. Did you? Just got to see if I can find one of the comics that's got it in it. Some of these Marvel ones has got like a insert in the middle with all that original Sin stuff going on in it. There is a Savage Hulk coming out, #1. Have you seen this? It's going to be done by Alan Davis, and who else? That's all that's on there right now. But that looks really interesting to me, and I haven't picked up a Hulk book for a really long time. But it also has in it, on the cover, you can see all the original X-Men in it.
Oh, yeah.
So that looks kind of cool. And then there is also, where is it? Oh yeah, a 4-issue limited series, the Hulk fighting against Iron Man, but it's the original Iron Man, and it looks like the Hulk is like from, you know, the old.
Oh.
So that looks kind of interesting. But yeah, anyway, because you liked, you're a Hulk guy, are you not?
I enjoy the Hulk. Yeah. So I'm curious if that's going to be something that's told in the past then.
I don't know, because it's going to be part of the original Sin thing. So I think it's.
Yeah, I'm not.
It might, though, because that original Sin is going to, like, they do go into the past of some of the characters and show some of the shenanigans that have gone on. So it might, you're right, it might be stuff that happened in the past, which would be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the boys.
I'm staying away from all event books now.
Are you? Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
So
Forever
the boys
Evil just did me in.
Yeah. That one, you know what, dude? I got to tell you that I got that. I did get that one, and I got 2 of the minis off of that too, the Rogue Rebellion and Arkham War, I think.
Yeah.
And I liked the Rogue because I like the Rogues. But that event book.
It's not done yet. The final issue hasn't come out yet, even.
Yeah, I know, but it's a stinker. Like, I mean, it's. Why has the last issue not come out? Have they said why?
Do not know why. Do not know why, which is hilarious because, you know, now books are coming out that have the after effects in it. We don't know what happened to Nightwing, but we've got all these other books talking about the fact that Nightwing's supposedly dead, or Nightwing's this, or Nightwing's that. It's like, what the hell?
Don't get me wrong, that issue was really good. I enjoyed that issue to a certain degree.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people that were just, a lot of the DC fans, man. I was watching the videos and they're like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of enjoyed it, but I can understand why people were getting upset. Yeah. So The boys are hitting the con. I think John is the last one to get there.
Yep.
Um, I, I could just imagine the four of those guys in one area. I can imagine that just the trouble that will be ensued from that. But when was John supposed to get there? Do you know?
Tomorrow, John's showing up tomorrow. He'll be there on Saturday.
Okay.
So I'm sure that has to be a hell of a lot of fun. That just must be pretty crazy.
Yeah. We should do. There's a fan expo one here in Toronto. We should get some of you guys down for something like that, man. That would be a friggin' blast. Toronto is just insane.
Yeah. We were talking about the fact that we needed to figure out like an answer, let's name
Yeah.
a con and let's all figure out how to get there, and it would just be absolutely nuts.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I'd be up for that.
I have had nothing but good experiences meeting fellow YouTubers in person and talking comics and whatnot. It's been absolutely great. So I'm at the point now where if I can figure out how to afford to do it, I'll jump at any opportunity to get together with a bunch of people and see what happens. I just can't imagine though being at a con and those four guys, they all read a lot of the same books and whatnot. I mean, I can just see them all fighting over the same issues of back issues and whatnot. I don't know. It'll be funny to see the
Oh yeah.
videos that come out of that whole thing. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I can imagine that they'll be coming away with a lot of bucks too, because they all have.
well, today the first day supposedly all they were doing was going around and getting signatures and stuff like that. Today was the day to get people sign stuff, and then the next days they're going to do their book hunting. And they've all showed
Right.
pictures of these huge stacks already of back issues that they've already gotten for a day that supposedly they weren't buying back issues. So,
Well, that's
how that-
that's
how that is.
that's what happens to me. I mean, every time that we go, I haven't been for a while, but I'm good for about an hour, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, I didn't notice I had 200 pounds worth of comic books in every bag we brought, and we're still gonna be here for like 12 hours, right?
Right.
Oh my gosh, man. But the problem is, if you take that kind of money with you, then you'll spend that kind of money. And how do you go to a convention without taking I could never go to a convention without taking at least $2,000, and that's a lot of money. But
It is.
I've not been able to go to a convention and not take at least that much money.
Yeah.
That's just me. What if I find a Spider-Man that I need for a really good price?
My problem is it used to be, to start out with, it was okay because it was whatever cash I take with me, and if I had the cash in hand, I feel guilty having too much cash in hand, so I can control myself to some degree. Well, now in this modern age of technology, anybody with a smartphone and a little plug in the top, you can run your credit card through it.
Oh my God, man!
So for me, with like original art and stuff like that, art pages and stuff, which is where I spend all my. I'm not so much of a back issue guy, so much as I'll drop lots of money on original art though.
Yeah.
And now there's nothing to really. I got a charge card. There's nothing to stop me. It's like, oh my God. So it's really tough.
I just hope that somebody gets that video of you, doing that with like somebody pulls out that, well, here's a Kirby that I got. It's only $4,000, and you're like standing there with the credit card and the phone. And I just hope somebody tapes that so we can just do like running commentary over that for the next year.
Yeah.
And did Travis buy it? Of course he bought it, because he can run his card through his phone.
Right. I would too.
Somewhere.
Well, that's like I was telling you off camera. A couple weeks ago, I was in Las Vegas, and their comic book shop there, they had a Kirby page stuck on the wall and whatnot. If he had said it was for sale, there is a very good chance I would have bought it. Even if he said thousands of dollars, I probably would have bought it. He was jokingly talking about the fact, he goes, well, I thought about putting some outrageous prices on them, and I go, don't do that, because if you put prices on it, somebody is going to come in and meet that price. Somebody will go, it's worth it to me to pay whatever for it. But yeah, I probably would.
Well, there
So
was a
maybe I should leave
guy.
the credit card at home.
There's a place in I think it's London, and it's like a little teeny. I went there twice, and all it is it's a. Oh, John probably knows where this place is. It's not a comic book store per se. I mean, it is. I mean, they have only new stuff. They don't have like back issues or anything like that. It's all just,
Mhm.
like a current subscription kind of a store. But they have trades and all that kind of stuff. And the last time I went there, I was looking at some, indie stuff. They have the most independent stuff I've ever seen in a store. And I was looking at that, and I looked up, and they had some art, like some original stuff. And there was a page of Watchmen on the wall. And
Mm.
I turned around to the guy, because I had been talking to him for a while about podcasts and stuff. And I said, "Holy shit, man!" I said, "Where did you get that?" And he said, "Oh, I bought it, like a couple of years ago or something like that." And I said, "Are you selling it?" And he goes, "Yeah, I would sell it." And I said, "Well, how much is it?" And I forget what he said, but it was like astronomical, man. It was like $60,000 or $70,000 or
Not
something.
really
And I was
selling
like,
it. Yeah.
I said, "Oh shit." And he goes, "Oh no, I could probably sell it for that." And I said, "I don't know, man." I said, I know there was a two-panel spread. Remember the Watchmen? I don't know what issue, but there was a two-panel spread where Adrian Veidt, there's a bad guy that had come into his big, I think his big apartment building complex place, business building, and they ended up fighting, and he had that metal.
The ashtray beats him to death with
Yeah,
like that tall
and he
ashtray or whatever.
hits that guy. Yeah, he hits him in the face with it. Those two original pieces, I watched the eBay thing, and it only went for, I think, what, 65 grand for both of those. And I remember thinking they're never going to get that kind of money for this, but who knows? All the Watchmen fans will be trying to find this place in London now. Oh my God!
Well, good for you if you got that kind of money to drop on a page of art. I don't. Yeah.
I think
But
if I was
I have a pretty healthy credit card, but my credit card doesn't have that kind of credit on it.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think if I was like actually wealthy, I would probably collect original art, but I would only collect like I would collect original Commandy art because that's my thing. But
sure.
you know, other stuff I don't know, like maybe Amazing Spider-Man stuff, but I don't know. Kirby stuff is just like it is a work of art, so that I could really see spending that kind of money on something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
just want to go to
definitely.
I just want to go to Thuggy One's house, man, and hang out with Thuggy. Like he's not that far. He's only
Oh,
in
no kidding.
Florida. He's only in Florida, and I could just sit in his house and just sit there and just gawk for hours. Oh my God, he's got amazing
What
stuff.
kills me is I'll do things like I'll be, going through my comic books and I'll occasionally, tweet pictures of this or that or the other, whatnot, and I'll get this message from him. Oh yeah, I've got that. I've got that cover. I've got the cover of that original Spider-Man. Whatever.
I know.
Back at the house. Oh,
I
yeah.
know. And then he did a couple of videos where he was showing some of his art, and he one
Stumbling
point,
through trays of them.
yeah, he's got like stacks of stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thuggy is
But see,
definitely he's like the original art champion.
yeah. But it's cool, because he was smart. He was buying that art, back before there was really the internet and whatnot. And you had to work harder to get them, but you could get things at a completely different price range. Because I mean, the market wasn't there the way it is now. Now, because everybody has access to it, there's, much. I don't know if the demand is higher, but you've got a lot more competition to buy stuff, so it's a lot. Things are a lot more expensive than what they were back then. So there's I think a lot more opportunity to buy stuff at a more reasonable price.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure, for sure.
I wasn't wasn't into comic books the way I am now. So I mean, I enjoyed comic books back then, but not. Well, I didn't have the money back then. Who am I kidding? I was living paycheck to paycheck too seriously back then. I mean, I had money for comic books, but not anything beyond that. So whatever.
It's like, am I gonna buy beer and cigarettes, or am I gonna buy comics? We always. I mean, normally we would buy the beer and cigarettes and steal the comics. Unfortunately, we were that kind of people. But occasionally we did buy a couple of comics. It's easier to steal the comics than it was to steal the beer, right? So.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Well, I think we're done, huh? Done for tonight?
Yeah, this was really fun.
I appreciate you coming on and talking. I'm sorry we end up with the other people that I invited. We end up being sick, or in the case of Hippie, we're working, so they couldn't come on, but I enjoyed getting to talk with you. It looks like from the comments, people were happy to see you back, Scott, and
cool.
talking books, and
I was not feeling too bad at all yesterday, and today actually was a pretty good day. So I thought, I should give it a go. Yeah.
I'm glad you made it. I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And everyone else, have a good evening, a good morning, or whenever it is that you happen to watch the show, and thanks for tuning in. Good night.